during university, like I did all these random things. Like I bought a hot dog cart. Okay, so for 3 years I had a hot dog cart. It was called Me and My Dogs.
Yeah,
It was like
that's sick.
it was like the best, and
Me and My
you know
Dogs.
it was I did that for 3 years, and every summer I did that
For all the dogs.
for all the dogs, for all the dogs. So yeah, like I had a hot dog cart for 3 years. I started, if you guys remember, I don't know if you remember, there was a company called Feel the Heat. Yeah, that Shiraz Ali had.
Oh, yeah,
he
yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
it. Yeah,
It was like a high school
Yeah,
party.
yes.
Yeah, so I used to go to those all the time, and then my little brother was throwing like parties during high school, and he was killing it. People were going to the parties. I'm like, why don't we create our own like Feel the Heat? So we called it Mirage Entertainment, and we started throwing parties, and we were making like 9 grand profit every event with no alcohol,
Nice.
just tickets, because it was such a desired event.
Yeah.
And so we were killing it. We were doing that, and then I had a hot dog cart in the summer, and then my grades were pretty good because at first I was like, I'm going to be a doctor. So I had like medical school grades of like, and so, but that was way too much for a business school. So I had good grades and I had this entrepreneurial experience. And I ended up applying for a bunch of scholarships, and I won 17 scholarships valued at $52,000. And one of them was an award called the Associate Student Enterprise Award, which is the biggest Asper School of Business award. And so university was great. I also got 2 scholarships to study abroad. One was in Guadalajara, Mexico, and the other one was in Pécs, Hungary. And I was able to have these experiences. And by the time I graduated, like I've already lived like a life. I lived in different countries. I went to school, and then that's when like my career started taking off, and I had this opportunity to grow a division in a large company to sell luxury movie theater seats. And that's when I started selling like $1 million deals of luxury movie theater seats, like Grant Park or those VIP chairs. And that took me around the world. Like I did deals in like 15 countries, from like Costa Rica to like the United Arab Emirates. And I had meetings with the CEO of the largest cinema of India in Winnipeg at Highs, like the PVR cinemas. Like he flew down here and we had a dinner with this guy. And I'm like, this is random. Like,
That's crazy.
And so it was like I was presenting to CEOs of billion-dollar companies. I was on like flying across the globe, business meetings. Like I was that guy walking around in the lounge on my headphones, like yeah, like transfer the money. I'm like, who am I right now? Like this is weird. And so I had this experience, and then so I did that for about 6 years. I had like 15 people reporting to me from all across the world, from France to Mexico. I would have meetings with them in front of customers and calls, and I had this incredible opportunity. I did that for about 6 years.
Can we break that down a little?
Yeah.
Because going from jail or graduating high school to this, yes, now it seems like you just summarized it in 3 minutes, but that wasn't 3 minutes. That was 6 years of your life, and even more probably. How'd you get started in that? Like going from, okay, I'm gonna get a hot dog stand. What was the idea of getting a hot dog stand? Why a hot dog stand? Why that way? And did you put up money first to get the hot dog stand? How'd that snowball into $1 million business deals?
Yeah, I've always been entrepreneurial. I've always like had this mindset of like, I want to earn money. I want to work hard.
Gotcha.
Like when I was 12, I saw this kid walking my street doing papers, like delivering papers. And I remember I just went up to him. I'm like, hey, how do I get a job here? He's like, I'm actually quitting today. Do you want my paper route? I'm like, yeah. And he just gave me his paper route. Right? And I just took over the paper route. I didn't ask to get the job. I took the job. I called the owner or like the paper guy, and I was like, hey, I'm the new paper boy.
I'm doing
And he's like, sure. And so, and then that, transferred to when I was 16, 17, I was selling colognes and perfumes, clothing from China, and bracelets out of my truck. Like I bought a truck when I was like 17, like before the jail situation. And I was selling this like at the back of my truck, and then after I got out of jail, I kept doing it, and it was just random. I had suppliers from different places.
Got the connects.
Yeah, some were good, some were not.
Sure.
But I was very entrepreneurial, and the hot dog opportunity came about because I knew somebody who was selling it, and he's like, "Hey, do you wanna, or would you be interested?" And I had no knowledge of the hot dog world, right? I mean, it's a whole.
Wait, were you like you were cooking up dogs while like, or were you just like you had the cart and you?
No, I was the hot dog guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was at the festivals, like every festival in Winnipeg, like Reggae Fest, Meme Fest, like Folk Fest, all these things. I was selling hot dogs there, and Actually, not Folk Fest, another fest. And yeah, I was the one selling the hot dogs. I would wake up like at 3 in the morning, chop onions for like 3 hours, and then go sell the hot dogs. And
That's crazy.
Good
yeah.
profit?
It was okay. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I killed it. Like, it wasn't as good as I thought it would be, but it was still pretty solid for a university student.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of costs involved that people are not aware of, like insurance and commissary and yeah. But I learned a lot, and the learning was way more valuable than the money I made. And you know, because I was applying what I learned in 8 months of business school to 5 months of summer, and I practiced like accounting and even like, you know, negotiating and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what brought me into like the hot dog cart. So I've always been a go-getter. I've always been hungry. Like I've always wanted more, right? And even to this day, I always want more, but not in a place like I'm not content. Like I'm constantly happy with where I'm at, but there's another side of me. It's like we could do more, right? It's never like unhappy.
Gotcha.
Did you like ever have your friends be like, yo, why are you selling hot dogs? Like you're in university, right? So like a lot of people are associated like, oh, let me go get an internship at like RBC or something to work on their business department. Like, was that ever frowned upon when you were with your crew?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say frowned upon, but it was very like it was people were curious because it's so out of the norm, right?
Yeah.
Like what 0.5% of people have a hot dog cart, you know? It's like probably less than that.
Yeah.
But for me, I've always liked the idea that I want to control my destiny a little bit.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like owning a business or even in sales, which I do now mainly, it's like you're in control of what you can do. And when you believe in yourself strong enough and you have enough confidence in yourself, and the variability works in your favor. Like I know that if I'm put in a situation where 80% of my pay is dependent on how well I do, I'm confident enough to know that I'm going to get 80 and more. And so I'm not like a lot of people that don't want to do entrepreneurship or sales. It's because sometimes there's a bit of concern or fear that like, hey, what if I don't hit my targets or I don't succeed? Then I get nothing, or I'm less than what I would get if it's a more stable opportunity. So the hot dog cart fit into that mold for me.
Gotcha.
I was able to do that.
Yeah. You were able to see like input, output. The more work I put in, the more output I would get.
Yes, exactly. And that's how I felt. And then I started, you know, it's like the little things you would pick up. Like, for example, whenever I saw a family walking by, I would always throw onions on the grill. So they would saute.
Yeah.
And then the smell, like, and then I would like kind of like,
like
I'd use like a little bit, and then it would hit them, and then the father would always like, or the kids would be like, Dad, can I get a hot dog? And then I'm like, yes, 'cause the families were the biggest ones, right? Like they'd spend like $60 sometimes, and I'm like, yes. So it was like I got to control that. That was my decision that allowed that sale to happen, and that's what I love. So, you know, out of university, my first job was actually this like marketing job, which I hated. I just took it because I thought that was the thing you do out of university. You get a marketing job or a job like that. And in that first year, like the number one thing I did in that job was look for other jobs. Like I was not happy there.
Oh, no.
And I ended up finding another opportunity, and it was this movie theater seats gig. And basically on the application, it said, we're looking for an entrepreneur, somebody who's a go-getter, to grow a brand new division, to be like an intrapreneur, right? And who likes to travel and likes movies. I was like, check. Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
So it was a perfect opportunity. I got to work in a big company and leverage the learnings and getting paid to learn, but also be an entrepreneur within that company and like use my skills wisely and grow that skill base. And so that's why I got into selling movie theater seats. And it wasn't even just selling, it was like growing a company. Like I legit made business plans. I expanded the company around the world. I was dealing with every department in the company. I was starting a business. And the experience that I got from there is probably something that for the rest of my life I'll be able to do that, right?
Wow.
And I didn't lose money. Like I didn't take a chance losing money because it was a company that was paying me. And that's what kind of propelled my career forward. And that's why I started traveling for work, and because we were killing it in North America. I'm like, why don't we go to France? Why don't we go to Belgium? Why don't we go to Dubai, Hong Kong? We were going to events in Hong Kong. We were meeting with, you know, the largest movie theaters in Japan. Like, and I would do research on like Japan. Like, you know, for example, one of the things is they'll always kind of say yes to you just to save face,
Yeah.
Okay.
right? Whereas like in America, they'll be like, hey, Ben, we're not interested. I appreciate the effort. Whereas in Japan, they'll be like, yes, we're interested.
Gotcha.
But they just do that so you don't feel bad,
Mhm.
right? So I learned so much about culture
Mhm.
and the way people carry themselves and conduct business. And that was probably one of the most exciting parts of the job, is like working with people from complete different backgrounds. And yeah, so I did that for 6 years and I had a great time.
Did you have a moment where
Ridiculous.
you look back and you're like, man, looking at my life where it started, and now I'm like traveling the world, getting to do what I love. Like this is insane. Like, did you ever have that moment?
Yeah, I did, because there was like a day it was my first time flying business class. Okay.
Ooh.
And if you ever fly business class, especially internationally, like in the
Yeah,
pods,
yeah.
it's like a whole new world. Whole new world. Like I felt like Aladdin or something, you know. And I remember just sitting in there, looking out the window, and thinking like I just was thinking like there was a moment I was in my cell where I was like, I can't wait to like just go for a walk.
Yeah.
You know, like it was like that's all I wanted. I was like, I can't wait to just go outside and go for a walk. And because when you're in jail, you're always surrounded by people.
Mm-hmm.
You never have a moment to yourself. You have a cellmate. When you go outside, there's guards, there's like people. And I just couldn't wait to just step outside and be by myself.
Mm.
And when I was on that plane, I was like, wow, I'm so far away from that now. Not even like I made it out. It's like I'm so far removed
Mm-hmm.
from that part of my life. And I just had this reflection for like 5 hours, just sitting reflecting, and I was so grateful. And then I started to like think about like how I got here, like what did I do, you know, what should I do about this in the future? How should I help people?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when things started to kick in. Like I need to start using my story to help people that don't have an environment of positivity like I did when I was a kid, but like also they can relate. Like you're not some corporate guy walking in there with never have experienced what they've experienced and telling them to do this and do that. It's like I'm somebody who came from the gutter, somebody who lived in their environment and made it out. And so that's one of my big goals right now, is to go back into those communities and speak to those kids. And that's why I gave a speech at River East. That's why I'm here today, you know, just to open up about my life and use it for good now.